Hey, and we're live. Welcome, everybody, to Training Talk here on Personal Defense Network. I'm Grant Cunningham, and as you can see right here, and this is the show where we talk about you, about your life, and how to protect it. In the next hour, we're going to explore how you can train and equip yourself to deal with those unforeseen incidents in life and keep you and your family safe. Now, we don't do politics, we don't do religion, we don't do crazy conspiracy theories, we don't do fringe wacko commentary, just really good personal defense information that you can put to use right now. It's the reasonable and responsible approach to personal defense and self-defense and family protection and all that kind of thing. And we hope that you enjoy it. And hey, if you do enjoy it, would you do us a favor and share it with your friends and your family and your coworkers, with all your social media contacts? In fact, now would be a good time to just kind of pop open a new tab in your browser and tell everybody on your Facebook and Twitter that you're listening to the show live right now. And if you're listening to the recording, hey, tell everybody you're listening to the recording too. Share it with everybody, because we've got a pretty interesting show coming up tonight. So thank you for joining us, and to those of you who are returning, thanks for coming back and being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it. So as I said, tonight's a special episode. We've got a big panel of people that are on tonight. We're doing a gigantic Google Hangout roundtable of personal defense information. But before we start in with that whole thing, I just want to remind you about the Personal Defense Network newsletter. That's right, the free newsletter that Personal Defense Network puts out on a excuse me, on a weekly or sometimes a little more than that excuse me, basis. I've got something in my throat and I don't know why. Anyway, so the Personal Defense Network weekly newsletter comes out with all the great information about the stuff that's happening here at Personal Defense Network. There's always something being added. You know, I've been around since almost the beginning of Personal Defense Network, and I'm astonished at the amount of great self-defense and personal safety information that we put up constantly. And the newsletter is your way to keep track of all of that. It'll give you what's new in articles, what's new in videos, sometimes pull things from the archive that maybe you missed, remind you about things like this show, so that you know what's coming on, and you go, hey, Thursday night, 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Training Talk is on. Great reference, and it's easy to sign up for. If you're watching this show on the Personal Defense Network site, there's a link below the video window there that you can sign up. Don't do it right now. Watch the show. Do it later. But use that anytime you're on the Personal Defense Network website. You'll find little boxes to sign up and say stay connected, and just put in your email address. Easy to get on, easy to get off. If you want to unsubscribe, that's not a problem. But trust me, you're not going to want to unsubscribe, because the information is just that great. So I'm a subscriber to the newsletter among hundreds of thousands, and I kid you not, hundreds of thousands of other people that find it absolutely invaluable. And I find it invaluable just to keep up with, like I said, all the great stuff that's coming on Personal Defense Network. So sign up for the free weekly newsletter and get that information coming into your email box. All right, so let's get started. Tonight is, as I said, is a special show. Now, Training Talk, this is the last show of the year for Training Talk. We're on the first and third Thursdays of every month, and this is the third Thursday of December, and our next show will be in 2017, January 5th, as a matter of fact. And so kind of thought about what we want to do for the end of the year show, and I thought it would be nice to get on all of, or as many of, the special guest experts on as we possibly could. Now, this show started at the beginning of the year. In fact, we kind of hatched the idea for Training Talk in January of this year. And over the number of shows that we've done, we've had quite a few guest experts on talking about their particular area of expertise. And I thought it would be really great to get as many of those people here tonight as possible, and sort of do a roundtable and talk about various things about self-defense and personal protection. So we've got a bunch of them tonight. And interestingly enough, I was kind of worried because I did not know how many people that a Google Hangout would allow. And I found out that it allowed 10. So I'd invited 10 people. Most of them are here tonight. A few unfortunately could not make it. Some had things come up. Others had some technical issues, but just about everybody is here, and I'm going to start introducing them now in no particular order. I'm just going to kind of go down the list here. First up, and by the way, guys, as I introduce you, unmute yourselves and say hi. First up is my West Coast hippie comrade, Mr. Alessandro Padovani of Safer, Faster Defense in California. Hey, good evening, Ali.
Good evening, Grant. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here, and I'm looking forward to all the information that's going to come forth tonight.
Cool. And next up, going to Louisiana, we have Barrett Kendrick of Barrico Training down there. Barrett, how are you tonight?
I'm well. I appreciate you having me back on here. I'm just kind of being entertained right now by Baby Pinkus that's taking over the camera. I see now, Rob. That's much better, Rob. I appreciate it.
Oh man. Okay. And thanks for being on, Barrett. Appreciate it. Mr. Clint Macro in the studio there. Clint, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Grant. I appreciate being in the company of all these fine gentlemen and Baby Pinkus.
And Baby Pinkus. And last but not least, of course, the executive director here at Personal Defense Network, Rob Pinkus, along with his daughter, the world famous Baby Pinkus. Rob, you're muted. Unmute yourself, Rob. He's working out.
I'm going to unmute both of us. So
there we go.
Baby Pinkus and I are hanging out, and she may or may not participate. She may or may not let me participate. We're hanging out in the nursery. We got books, we got bottles, and I'll definitely chime in because I know you got some great questions tonight. Thanks for having us on, Grant. And hey, guys.
Hey, Rob, how you doing? Thanks for being here. And I want to take this opportunity. I think all of us know, and a lot of you watching the show probably know, that not only does Rob have a wonderful daughter there who's fascinated by me right now. Hi. But Rob also just a few days ago became a grandfather for the first time. So congratulations to you, Rob, on the birth of your baby granddaughter. That's awesome news. All right. So, and finally we have Jared Needs. Jared, you're back. How are you?
Sorry about that. Had to run and take care of some stuff. I'm doing good. How are you doing, Grant?
Terrific. Thank you for being here tonight. Much appreciated. All right. Well, like I said, we've got a great crew tonight, and we've got some interesting topics that we're going to discuss tonight. And I'm sure that you can hardly wait to hear these experts' take, and particularly Baby Pinkus's take, because, I think she's a pretty smart kid. She probably has something cool to say. All right. So let's see here. Let's start in. And we've got a few things to discuss tonight. I don't know that we'll make it to all of them. We've got quite a good group here, so we'll see how far we make it through some of this stuff. But I want to just start out asking everybody, if you think back through all of 2016, what is the best personal security or self-defense thing that you found this year? Now, it could be a product. I mean, we always think about products, right? It could be a product, but it could also be a technique, or maybe a teaching technique, maybe a self-defense skill, something that you found this year that you thought was neat, that either you've adopted for yourself, or maybe you're sharing with your students, or something like that. So, Ale, we're going to start with you, and tell us what you found this year that you think is pretty cool.
Well, let's see. I think that I really want to bring forth the reality-based training as the late module of 2016. As probably many of the listeners are aware that through ICE training we are teaching instructor development for reality-based training. We've had a few instructor candidates that came to the class and were successful, and so they're spreading out reality-based training force on force, if you will. Seeing all the classes taught, and I go regularly to Reno Gansen Range, where they have a reality-based training group. Bristol Cone in Denver has a reality-based training room as well. But it basically reinforces this incredible importance that good professionally run reality-based training, particularly with scenarios, simulation, force on force exercises, and so on, at different levels, if you will. But the amount of learning that happens, the amount of progress that each student makes, even just with a day of training, right? Because, although you come to the reality-based training with already some skills, developed, whether you got those skills from us or from somewhere else, that those events really bring forth the difference between how a student think is going to behave and how it actually he or she is going to behave. And, it's kind of a cliche, but you definitely want to make mistakes in training. You don't want to save those good mistakes for real life. So, and I use force training, base training for empty hands, for women classes, for knife, and for, handgun. And again, I want to stress the importance of the advantages you would have as a student taking one of these classes. So if you're an instructor, make sure you find some time, come and get, what's the word I'm looking for here, Grant? Come and get certified with us. If you're a student, find places that do provide reality-based training and make sure that they do it in a professional manner, right? There's a few articles on the website to figure out what do we exactly mean with professional manner. There's a couple of video clips from Ken Murray on the website as well that really goes a long way to explaining the benefit and how a reality-based training event should be run. So that's my 2 cents for 2016.
That's cool, because I know that this has been an interest of yours now for a while, and that you've really started in 2016 putting this more into use in your classes. I've got a question for you. Are you seeing a lot of interest among other instructors to really learn about this, or is it for some people still something that they just that they're either scared of or don't think is valuable?
Well, I think that we've been trying, like with Barrett and Rob and Derek and Omari. We put the program together, and Ken Murray, of course. We put the program together a couple of years back, and the interest is growing. I think that most of it is people don't know what they don't know. So they don't know actually how valuable it is, because they may have run through some force on force exercises or training, but from people that didn't know how to run them properly. And so they may have had a bad taste in their mouth. Like a force on force drill exercise only finishes when the student is able, through his own will, perseverance, and superior tactics, to actually succeed, right? You reinforce success because that's how you learn, things, and how you retain them in your memory for future events. So a lot of the people, I think, don't understand how valuable it is, either because of ignorance, meaning, they haven't been exposed to it, or they may have been exposed to an event that wasn't run professionally, and so they didn't get the true benefits. So we've really been trying to push this, and again, with everybody else at IC training and so on, because we want to educate people, both on the value of it and the value of integrating it into your training program if you are a professional self-defense instructor.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Before we continue with this, I just want to introduce one of our guests has just joined us. So from Dynamic Training Strategies, Mr. Fitness himself, Tyler Grant. How you doing, Tyler? Uh-oh, we can't hear you. No audio.
How about now?
Oh, yeah, that's much better.
There we go.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Tyler. Appreciate it.
Worked out. Technology is not my favorite thing sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay. It's, we've got Baby Pincus doing tech support for Rob tonight, so
Awesome.
It'll work. All right. Well, in fact, we're talking, Tyler. We just started talking about, and I'll give you a chance to think about it, about the what you've seen in 2016 that's new to you, or something that you've adopted, you've started using either for yourself or your students? So we'll come back to you in a few minutes after you talk about that. Barrett, what did you find in 2016? You're muted, by the way.
As you said that, Google also reminded me that I'm muted as I went to talk. It's probably a little bit too smart. Anyway, as I was kind of going, really 2016, if we step aside from just even the firearm side of the industry and we look at personal defense and family defense, one huge step that I've seen and I've noticed is really security cameras have come a long way in just the past couple of years, but really this year where the high definition stuff is become a lot cheaper, a lot more ready available, and the differences in the cameras that we have available are really broad spectrum now. You know, I think I probably had my first live security camera dating back to probably around 2004 or so. And I think initially it wasn't even put up necessarily for true security in regards to just kind of paying attention to some other things, wildlife and whatnot in the yard. But kind of moving forward now, you know, if you look at the different, you know, the doorbell cameras that we have that are instantly grabbing footage, that are transmitting that footage, whether it be on motion or somebody just pressing the button on the door, or the cheaper pan and scan cameras that, you know, as they pick up motion out of the yard or, you know, in the neighbor's yard for that matter, you know, you all of a sudden have a camera that will zoom in to whatever that object is, whether it's the dog that's coming to, you know, to urinate on your mailbox, or it's the stranger that's starting to walk up the sidewalk. Instead of having that far away footage, now all of a sudden we can get a zoomed in high definition footage with a picture that actually tells us some information rather than the kind of fuzzy stuff that we've been seeing over the last several years. So it's really just, it's taken a large jump that I've noticed in 2016, where a lot of the, you know, alarm companies are now offering the different camera systems where people are, it's becoming more acceptable to have cameras installed on the inside of your home. Obviously, you know, in the not in the bedrooms and bathrooms and whatnot, but kind of in the kitchens and the living rooms and the doorways where you have people coming in. Now all of a sudden it's become acceptable, where we're getting much higher quality footage to where it doesn't necessarily deter crime, but at least it gives us somewhere to go after the fact.
You know, that's cool. I've been kind of watching this technology develop, and of course, the resolution is getting better, color fidelity is getting better, and one of the things that struck me this year that I discovered, I had no idea this existed, is that the cameras are now their firmware now will differentiate between, say, a running dog and a running human, which is at least some of them, which is really kind of astounding when you think about it. There's kind of a rudimentary recognition software in them that now, instead of capturing footage of stuff maybe that we don't want, if it's motion activated, now it can actually differentiate between these things. Is that coming down in price as well?
Certainly, you know, we're going to see that, and we've seen the technology. I mean, if you think about even on your smartphone cameras or some of the user cameras over the past several years, where you've had face tracking technology, to where you can have a video camera set up, and you know somebody's walking back and forth across a stage or out in a field, where you can, you know, set it on that individual to where the focus point is going to stay on that individual, and everything else could ultimately be blurred out. So I think that, you know, it is definitely coming down in price, and, you know, we're going to see some huge advances in some of the stuff that's been out of reach because of the cost of it come down into the user side of it.
Cool. That sounds very cool. I'm kind of a technology junkie anyway, so you know, this is very cool for me. Jared, dropped out there for a minute. I was afraid maybe that you wouldn't make it back. But tell us what you found in 2016 that was cool in terms of, you know, product or technique or idea or whatever.
Well, we'll see if this stays and we can keep it going here. But no, there's been a lot of cool stuff that I've seen and done. I was actually hoping Rob would. It looks like he's dropped out. Baby Pincus is not keeping his internet running. But one of the coolest things I saw in 2016 was his series of Worlds Collide with Rob Latham doing figure 8 drills. Oh, hey, Rob's back. Hey there, Baby Pincus, and Baby Pincus is gone. But no, I thought that was really cool to distinguish between the, kind of more of a ballet and choreographed, and getting to see somebody who does that have to interpret stimulus, and kind of goes back to, what I teach and what I know a lot of these guys teach, as far as having to interpret things, and the shooting being really kind of the easy part of the defense. It's everything that leads up being the more difficult portion.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because we've been talking about this for a few years now, and I get this feeling, I don't know, that we're just now starting to get kind of a critical mass that people are really starting to understand that, and there are enough people out there like you teaching it now who understand this, and it's now finally starting to become the norm. People are really starting to understand this, and it's only taken 40 years,
Yeah, it's definitely started to gain headway, and seeing that portion of that really kind of drove that home to me this year. It brings a lot more validity to that thought process, and being able to see it in action.
Very cool. Great. Clint, what have you found new in 2016?
You posed this question to me earlier today, so I had a little time to think about it. And I'd say a product would be the UTMs, Ultimate Training Munitions. I'm not that schooled in stress inoculation and force on force. And coming from a civilian background, I didn't have much exposure to UTMs or, using another brand, Simunitions, and the UTMs pretty much smoke the Sims as I've been learning. And so I've been getting involved with UTM and using their products, and I haven't been putting classes on with that yet. I've just been experiencing it myself, but our company has just now, we're in the midst of building a stress inoculation shoot house, and we're going to be using the UTM products there. So I'm looking forward to taking advantage of some of that training. Perhaps I can come do a class with Alessandro.
Oh yeah, you should. Awesome class, and Ollie's got great information about how using UTM or Simunitions. It's, as I learned, I don't know, about 10 years ago, and as you're probably now finding out, it looks really easy to do, but in practice, it's actually a lot harder than a lot of people make it look. And that's kind of one of the first things we sort of learned. And then, when I started, there really weren't a lot of options in terms of training to learn how to use the stuff properly. We had Ken Murray's book, and that was about it. And today, again, growth and progress and all that sort of thing, you've got resources like the class that Ollie's teaching for ICE training. So that's very cool, and your students will benefit from it.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're having Tony Lambrea is coming down in January. He's going to do a product demo, and we're going to get more involved with it. So I'm looking forward to that relationship as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Good to hear. Things are progressing for your students back there. So Rob and or Baby Pincus, let's see if they want to come in and talk about this a little bit.
She wants to talk about this cool giraffe she's got. I think that actually, obviously, it's interesting listening to the other guys talk. The reality-based training, of course, and I think obviously Alessandro specifically meaning scenario training and the force-on-force training being incredibly important, and the UTM stuff that we were using way back in the day at Valhalla as our exclusive force-on-force product for scenario training, being both great contributions. And the training information that Jared mentioned that Rob Latham and I were able to put out. I talked to Rob Latham earlier tonight, actually, and Barrett's aware of this. I don't know who else is, but we're going to be doing some team-up classes, some live events next year as well. At least 2 of them we're going to try to get on the schedule before the big PDN tour starts for 2017. For me, I'll throw a product in there. It's so rare that I actually see a product that's interesting and innovative and different anymore. And that's the Laser Ammo's Advanced. It's called their Pro Series on their website. It's a training pistol. It's a laser training pistol that includes a putting your fingers inside the trigger guard, and you're obviously not intending to shoot alarm. And it's a pretty sophisticated way to do it. It doesn't alert just because you put your finger inside the trigger guard. Obviously, your finger has to go inside the trigger guard to fire a shot. What it does is it tells you if your finger has been lingering inside the trigger guard and you haven't fired a shot within a couple of seconds. Because obviously, even in some cases, there may be a high level of extreme precision needed so that you are going to be pulling the trigger. Your finger will go inside, you'll touch the trigger, you'll confirm whatever alignment you need, and then it may take you 2 seconds to press the trigger to fire a certain shot. If the trigger isn't actuated, and if you aren't moving your finger out of the trigger guard within a couple of seconds, it then gives you an alert. And I think it's been pretty interesting to watch some students in scenario training, or even in just some very simple tactics, technique application training moments, to see how they put their finger in there when they're not supposed to. There's been a lot of talk about that over the years. I think it's possible to out-train it, but I'm going to tune out.
You know, oh man, yeah. In fact, that's there are now, from what I understand, I guess a couple of products on the market that are finally doing this. One of the things that, gosh, this is probably going back 20 years now. I can remember doing, we were doing scenario training with, at the time, gosh, I can't remember the name of it, Code Green or something like that, which was kind of a competitor to Simunition. This is before the UTM stuff came on the market. And we were doing the first scenario training types of things that I got involved in. And it was really amazing when we put people into those situations, how all of a sudden the fingers were in the trigger guards all the time. People were moving around with them and weren't paying any attention to that. And the only solution we had for it, of course, was to yell at people. And I've joked that I often thought about putting together like a UTM gun or a sim gun with a taser or a stun gun, right? And wire the stun gun to the trigger. So if they were on the trigger when they weren't firing, they get shocked. But it was probably a bad idea. But that's how much that sort of annoyed me. And it was something we had to watch for constantly. So I'm glad now that there are tools that we can use to reinforce student behavior, rather than having to just constantly yell at them. So that's very cool. Tyler, what have you found new and exciting in 2016?
First off, I want to say my microphone setup doesn't look as good as Clint, and I'm pretty jealous about that.
Nobody looks as good as Clint.
If people have been following me, they know I've been kind of out of the training scene this last year and a half, 2 years, because got on fire department and training and whatnot. But just outside of like self-defense, but if we put medical stuff in there, it's just mainly learning more the ins and out of recognizing when someone needs help. What is a traumatic wound? If someone is bleeding, but there's a more severe bleed, like what to focus on more versus, I need to treat everything equally, and look more into the gray area of the medical side, and just be able to determine what is bad and what is really bad, and something else that you really don't care about. But more for products wise, this isn't new, but it's new to me. It's something I've been wanting to try for a long time. But this last year, I finally got a holster from Keeper's Concealment, his Keeper's Light. It's a foam wedge holster, appendix carry, and at first it was pretty rough. And now I don't want to really carry anything else. There's still a lot of good other holsters out there, but that's what I tend to like the most. And also started carrying a clinch pick, one of Craig Doug's clinch pick and one of Spencer's sheets, and I kind of rock that now, and that's basically the only two things I have really added into my everyday carry, but also it's new to me, and I hate that I don't have anything more to offer than that. Just I've been out of the scene for a little bit, and in the next year or two, you should see me start ramping back up before I start going to paramedic school.
Oh, you're going to paramedic school now?
Well, I'm gonna apply. I'm gonna do the process, but that is the goal in 2018 to go to paramedic school.
Oh, very cool. Interestingly enough, this is I've had this conversation now with at least two people at least 3 people today about medical stuff, and specifically, and we had hoped to have Caleb Causey on tonight. Apparently he didn't make it, but medical stuff and the need for more accessible and more available trauma response training to the general public. Because we all know that it's not just about getting shot; it's about car accidents and falling through plate glass windows and all that other stuff, right?
Thank you for saying that, because too many people lump just gunshot wounds and tourniquets, this and that, and it's frustrating to me, just because they just don't understand there are far more things with, if I get stabbed or I get shot, or even with the trauma stuff of car accidents. I asked a question. I asked a friend of this the other day, and I said, "Hey, you have needle decompression needles, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." So where do you put those? He kind of gave me somewhat a right answer. I go, "All right, what's the breath to compression ratio on CPR?" That person couldn't give me an answer. So there are so many more things that people need to be able to recognize just for readiness for a loved one or family member, or even yourself, of this person just doesn't look right. Let's call 911, because a lot of people, they'll generally wait until it's to the point where, oh God, they're not breathing anymore, or there's something traumatic happening, where this is the point where we call 911. There's been many times I've been off shift. I've called more 911 more times since I've been on, and since my whole entire life, just because I recognize this is going to lead a problem, because I can see where this is going. And people need more of that than just knowing how to put on tourniquets, just knowing how to push some type of packing agent into a wound, which those things are very important, but that's not the only thing to medical, which is what I see in the industry is it's the sexy stuff, and that's people are only concentrating on, which is wrong in my opinion.
Yeah, we have that problem of course in the defensive shooting world of people only wanting to focus on the sexy stuff, and I never really thought about the sexy part of trauma response, but you're right. Yeah, tourniquets and gunshot wounds are, let's face it, they're the sexy stuff. Okay, cool. Let's talk for just a second then. So we talked about 2016. Let's sort of look ahead and talk about 2017, since that's coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So what I want you to think about now is, what is the one thing that you would advise your students and your readers and your followers to do for their personal security and safety? And again, this is a very, very broad topic, as Tyler pointed out, because we do talk about medical and even the preparedness stuff. But what thing would you advise your students and followers and readers and all that kind of thing to do in 2017? So let's go back. We'll start with Ale again. And Ale, can you slide to your left just a little bit? It's like you're moving out of frame. There we go.
Yeah,
that's better. So what are you going to tell people to do for 2017?
I just, since I already mentioned, I go to a reality-based training event. My goal for 2017, actually, personally, is to take part in one of Caleb's medical classes. And, we're just piggybacking on what you guys were talking about. But I do believe that is something that, it goes behind self-defense. It's just, survival, really, like of yourself, your loved one, and so on. Like we mentioned, we may have many more chances to be witness to a car accident rather than a shooting, right? So that kind of training needs to be like kind of a primary thing. It'd be silly to bleed out with $5,000 worth of gear on you, right? And we know there's going to be a lot of people that may end up that way. So I know that Caleb has everyday carry trauma medicine class that I find really interesting, because again, I also well aware that I don't have the time or the mental energy to do very in-depth medical training. So I've taken a few classes, I've taken a few trauma medicine, stuff, but I want to expand on those skill sets.
I agree. The last medical class I took was probably 5 years ago, and it's about time for me to get a refresher because things have changed, and I will no doubt have forgotten something. So, good advice. I think I'll probably take your advice, Ollie.
Hey, maybe we'll go together.
There we go. Yeah,
that too. Like the dichotomy between sexy and useful is there, because like my second choice would be a long distance rifle class. Like I don't have any experience there. I would like to pick up hunting actually and so on. But again, when I put the two on the scale, I can't wait to learn to shoot long distances. I don't know if I have the luxury to wait to learn more in-depth medical skills.
Right. Definitely. Barrett, how about you? 2017. What are you going to tell your students and your followers and all that kind of thing? And you're muted, by the way. Better.
I'm going to unmute this time. Honestly, I would say that we kind of put a lot of focus on instructors. Stay in your lane, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. I think that honestly, if I'm to say one thing to students, it's kind of stay in your lane. If you're trying to put together a plan for 2017, start looking at what would be the most likely thing that could happen to you or your family. Kind of map that out, and starting there, whatever that is, then start to create just a little bit of plan. Include your family in on that. Kind of sit around, talk about it. Ultimately, put the plan together with the family, whether you're there, you're not there, and discuss it, and then ultimately get to the point where you can try to train to it and run through simulations and test that plan. And but most of the time, really, it's going to start with putting together an actual fundamental basic plan that actually fits your family or fits you as an individual, and not someone else, not what someone else is doing. So just like we would sit there and say to our instructors, stay in your lane, same thing with the students. Stay in your lane. That there can be fun with guns, but there's also what's going to happen to me, or what's most likely going to happen to me, and let me put my focus on that.
I think that for a lot of people, I think and let's face it, I think probably all of us have been in this position before, but a lot of people probably just go out and sort of haphazardly approach this idea of personal security and personal safety, and just kind of like get bits and pieces here, maybe the cool stuff that they find, and I don't think a lot of people really sit down and do much of a plan. And I think that's a great idea, to actually sit down and make a plan. Like, look at what you need, look at where maybe your skills or knowledge are lacking, and then do something systematically to fill them in. I think that's a great idea. Awesome. Oh dear. Okay. There's Clinton. Jared, what about you? What are you telling people this year?
So I guess the biggest thing is to, just like Barrett was saying about the plan, and then get out there and train. I think a lot of people, we've been kind of focusing on medical, get on PDN, read some articles, figure out what part of your plan you need the most help with, and get out there and train. If you just took a firearms class, maybe go get that medical training, go get some unarmed training, and kind of put it all together. I think a lot of people kind of want that one-stop shop and stop there and think, okay, well, I trained on my handgun, I'm good. There's a lot more to it than just taking that one step.
Now I'm muted, and I did it, Barrett. See, yeah, I think that's probably true. I think a lot of people, I would agree with that. I think a lot of people probably do exactly that. And you mentioned PDN. If you can't find at least a pointer to the information you need on PDN, I doubt that you're going to find it anywhere, because like everything's here, including Jared's articles here too. So that's great. Clint, How about you? What are you telling people?
Well, I kind of piggyback on the sentiments of Barrett. You know, too often people, when they take on the responsibility of their family's first responder, they only include themselves, and they go get the training and they're like, I'm ready. But we have to share that knowledge with our family, and we have to get them involved in the practice, the prevention, conflict avoidance, and what to do during the action, and then how to deal with that aftermath too. You know, if I'm put in a situation where I do use that firearm to defend my family and my home, well, there's going to be some legal aftermath, and I want them to be prepared for that as well. So, going back to the medical training, I took a class with Anthony Barrera earlier this year, and it was just basically we were using an Israeli bandage the entire day, and what a wonderful device that was. And I was able to bring that home and show it to my wife and my son, who's 8. And we spent the afternoon wrapping each other up with the Israeli bandage. Now he carries one in his backpack, and I know that he knows how to use it. And that's just one little example. But, we all take these classes, we all get this education, and then we go home and we just talk about the class we took. We need to share that information, that knowledge with our family. And, some families are going to get more involved than others, but at least having a discussion and a dialogue about it is going to help better prepare the entire household.
Oh, I agree. Definitely. Speaking of preparing the entire household, Rob and baby Pincus. Rob, what do you think for 2017? What are you going to tell students and social media people and readers and that kind of thing?
I am going to go back to something we haven't really talked about a lot. Everybody, I can echo everything everybody else said. Start with figuring out what your real needs are, what your weaknesses are, come up with a real plan, involve the family, all that stuff. But we're going to say get back into some fundamentals, fitness being one of them. Being healthy is still going to be the basis of any ability really to fight. And even when it comes to just standing on the range all day and going through a pistol class, if you're not healthy, if you aren't fit, if you don't have the stamina, if you don't have the strength just to stand out there and practice and get the training in, sure, the fight's not going to last very long, and with a firearm, there may not be a real physical aspect to the fight, but just your heart rate going up, and then obviously the stamina of being able to get through the training and practice to use your firearm at a minimum as a motivation to be fit. But it's something we used to talk a lot more about than we have recently. So given that a lot of other great things have been covered, I'll throw out the fitness reminder for 2017. Somewhere beyond the first week of the New Year's resolution. Something, moderate, doesn't have to be extreme, but just committing yourself to being ready to fight and ready to take care of your family and ready to stand on the range or stand in that dojo and practice your unarmed gun skills as well.
Yeah, I believe me, that's as I get older and as the stamina and everything else and starts to decrease a little bit, that becomes more and more important. And I'm proud to say that I've actually made headway this year on that. So, and largely because I've been listening to Mr. Fitness himself, Tyler Grant. Tyler, what are you going to tell people for 2017?
I'm having trouble. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So Rob stole pretty much everything I was going to say.
I figured he did.
So off the cuff, I want people to realize what their limitations are, then find out what they need to do to correct that. I know generally they'll take a pistol class. I'm kind of echoing what says. Someone takes a class or classes. Like I have a binder full of stuff that I have not let myself practice in many years because I'm busy teaching. I'm not accelerating or continuously practicing what I have learned. So they're definitely lost. So I don't want people to be like me. That's what I'm going to do personally. I want people to realize what their weaknesses are, and to see if they're overconfident in any one thing of, hand-to-hand training, pistol, carbine, whatever that X is, and put themselves in a place where they can safely, so they can have that reality check. Because too often we'll take a shooting class, and some people you can shoot like 10 rounds, like 0.2 seconds. Or, where the case. I want people to be able to put the position where they can fail safely and learn from it and take the kick in the groin and walk away from it, not with going rude or a person. I will never train that person again. Take the positive away from it, and go, I am not as good as I thought I am. So where do I go from here?
And I did it again. Barrett, it's your fault. So I agree. An old line from a Dirty Harry movie: a man's got to know his limitations. Always wanted to do that and use that in context. I just used it in context, which is awesome.
You're welcome.
All right. So I'm going to throw a wild card out at you guys. We've got about 12 or 13 minutes left here before we have to wrap stuff up. So this is not something that I told you ahead of time. And so off the cuff, what thing that does not exist, or maybe doesn't exist in the form that you want, or maybe isn't widely available, what thing do you want to see come to the market in 2017? All right. So what thing, and I'm going to start with Clint this time. Clint.
He's throwing me under the bus. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
What thing would I like to see? Well, I tell you, there's a lot of great products out there, and there's a lot of simulated training products that are out there. And I'd like to see a SIRT pistol that has recoil. That would be something pretty awesome to see.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of the SIRT pistol, but it does lack in that recoil department. And that would be something that I would like to see.
That's an idea. I don't think I've heard that one before. Cool. Okay, Jared, what do you want to see?
I'm sorry, I actually was out. What do I want to see in 2017?
Yeah.
Okay, I dropped out and came back and all that wonderful internet. I don't know. I'd like to see more people actually getting out there and training. I mean, that's a big thing, and not just going to the one course. I'd like to see more people taking seriously, especially on the medical end. I think that the medical training is very important, and a lot of people lack in that. So love to see people out there getting knowledge.
Okay, cool. What any particular product you'd like to see that you don't think is being well served right now?
Ooh, a product?
Yeah.
Boy, really putting me on the spot there. Off the top of my head, can't think of one.
Okay. Interesting enough, this is 2016, actually the last 3 or 4 years have been really good in terms of products, self-defense products. I think we probably have the greatest selection of self-defense products, I mean firearms and medical stuff and all that kind of thing, that we've ever had, which I think is really cool. So Barrett, what do you think? Yep. There you go.
To get on. Well, since I've been following it now for a few years, I've been shooting and breaking all the 3D-printed models of it, as well as now the kind of current model of it. I would really enjoy having a PD-10 in my collection to start putting some rounds down range. So, Rob, I know that you're still hiding behind that little avatar there. So hopefully, I'll get a chance to shoot another one here shortly.
So, and of course, for those who don't know, this is the Avidity Arms PD-10 pistol that Rob Pincus had a big hand in designing. And I'm glad you said it, because I didn't want to give him the opportunity to do it himself. So I'm glad you beat him to the punch, which is awesome. Yeah, actually, I'm really excited to see that come to market too. And I think when he first talked about this gun, I kind of thought, well, I'm not really sure. Okay. But talking to a lot of people in the defensive training world, in the defensive shooting world, this is a product that we need. And I'm hearing a lot of people who are really, really excited about it. So I would agree. I can hardly wait to see it myself. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it ends up being a gun that the manufacturers, current manufacturers, have refused to make, and so here it is. So I'm excited about it.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm hoping to get some sort of a signed one or something, in a gift box, nice, walnut case. Just saying. Okay. Just saying.
I just want a beater.
Ale, what do you want to see in 2017? You're muted.
Well, now that I was able to mute me, that is kind of like, I'm going to be shameless and just plug what I wanted to see for a while now. This is the prototype of the ankle rig to carry your IFAC gear. We've been talking about medical training and so on, and I've tried all of them on the market. I wasn't really satisfied with any, so I went down to Italy and worked with the Frog Pro people. We actually made this is going to be available January on my website exclusively for the United States market. So we got, a room for tourniquets and gloves, flashlight. We got chest seals and quick cloth. Here we got a compression bandage. We got some molly attachment here if you need more stuff. It's nice and breathable, good Velcro, air mesh on the back. So we've actually been working on it since this July, and we went through a couple of prototypes. This is the final one. So wait for the big announcement. Probably by the end of the month, I should receive my first shipment and go live on the website. But I'm really happy with it. It's very comfortable. You forget you have it on, and you can carry all your essential on you without having to, waste any more space on your belt line. Because, especially if you carry conceal and so on, you don't really want to add more stuff there. Or, we see a lot of people that, for expediency's sake, they trim down their IFAC kit so much so that they can carry that becomes, quite useless in the end, So that's it, 2017. Look it up.
That's very cool. I had no idea you're working on that. Looks like a good product. You're going to send me one, right?
Of course.
Okay, good. I've got to try this out. Tyler, what thing do you want to see come in 2017?
So y'all know me. I kind of play by my own rules. There's not anything particular like product or thing wise I want to see. I think a lot of people, they like the new thing that comes out or the one thing that's maybe 0.1% better. I just want people to have knowledge and know how to solve the situation without a commercial product. I want them to be able to figure it out. Too many people, they want the steps of this is how you solve problem X. I want them to be able to figure it out without any knowledge and just be critical thinkers and know the problem needs to be solved and just be able to do it.
Okay, cool. That's a good thing to see. And we'll finish up with Rob and Baby Pincus. Rob, besides the PD10, what do you want to see what do you want to see in 2017? What's necessary? What do you want to see out on the market?
The other than longer attention span for this one right here, I will kind of leave this into a counter ambush response in that I don't know if there's anything that I really want to see that hasn't been mentioned. I'm excited about Alessandro's ankle kit. Obviously, the PD10 is something I'm desperate to get out. I've got a book or 2, 3 maybe that I'm working on. I'd love to see any of those come out. But I'd really like to see, following on what Tyler said, not only critical thinking on the individual level, but I'd like to see more critical thinking from the instructors. Less of this is how we've always done it, less of this is how I'm comfortable doing it, but more challenging the status quo, breaking some molds, and looking forward to seeing what comes about because of product or because of customer problems, meaning the clients, the students, what are they concerned about? What does the world bring us? What new problems or new trends or new maybe hyperbolically oversold problems, anomalies that come up that get people thinking, what are the solutions that come up? So I'm always interested in that, the software more than the hardware side. So I'll stick with that for 2017 and see what I can contribute, see what our PDN team can contribute, a lot of the people here on this call, everything that you do at Training Talk, and of course, see what the rest of the community brings forth as well.
So Rob, before we let you go, when are we going to see the PD10? When's it coming out?
You're killing me. I actually just shot the latest production model again yesterday, Tuesday, 2 days ago. in Florida. And we're going to have a gun out at range day at SHOT Show, and we'll have a lot more information there. The gun that's going to be there, whether it'll be an actual final production, we are selling the gun, here it is in people's hands, or another production model evolution. I'm not quite sure, and that should tell you how close we are.
Okay. So having been through that process myself, I understand completely. So we're getting close, folks. We're getting real close. All right. Well, we're just about out of time. We've got just enough time for to go through and have everybody tell us where they can find you, how they can get in touch with you. So Tyler, where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
dynamictrainingstrategies.com. Go on there, go to my About Me and contact us if for training requests, handgun, carbine, medical, some weightlifting seminars. Basically not necessarily A to Z, but there's a lot of things I can teach. I'm in the Northwest Arkansas area. I will travel for training. That.
Cool. Thank you. Clint, how about you?
You can reach me at triggerpressersunion.com, and we're bringing in lots of trainers this year. As a matter of fact, Jamie Onion's coming in February. He's going to do an IC defensive firearms coach certification class, which I'm looking forward to attending. And Rob's going to come out, I believe, in April, and we've got a lot of stuff going on. So that's triggerpressersunion.com.
Very cool. Thanks. It sounds like you got a busy year planned already.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Barrett, how can people get in touch with you?
All right, they can reach me on Instagram, Facebook, any of that stuff, or bearcodetraining.com.
Okay, cool. Ale.
Hey, you can reach me at saferfasterdefense.com. That's the website, or Ale at saferfasterdefense.
Cool. Very good. And since Jared, it looks like Jared dropped out here, you can get a hold of Jared Needs at triggertimeohio.com. I believe his company is Trigger Time. So, and I believe the URL is triggertimeohio.com. And of course, our executive director here at Personal Defense Network, Rob Pincus, you can always reach him at icetraining.us. And of course, here on Personal Defense Network, and he's all over social media. If you can't find him, you're not trying hard enough. Just that simple. All right, guys, thank you everybody for coming on the show tonight for this gala and festive year-end roundtable. Much appreciated. For everybody out there, our next show will be the first Thursday of January 2017, which will be the 5th of January, of course, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget the free Personal Defense Network weekly newsletter. Sign up for that. It completely spaced my mind to talk a little bit about premium membership here at Personal Defense Network. But if you sign up for premium membership, all kinds of benefits, all kinds of extra stuff that you don't get on the public side of the Personal Defense Network site. And if you sign up using this code, Grant10, Grant, the number 1, the number 0, all one word, you can get your first year of membership Personal Defense Network for only $10. That's what the 10 is for, $10. So Grant10, all one word, just put that in where it says for the discount code, and you'll get a great deal. There we go. And so thanks again to everybody who came out tonight for this. For everybody out there, have a happy holiday season, whichever holiday you celebrate. I hope it's a good one for you. And more importantly, I hope it's a safe one. We'll see you in 2017. Good night, everybody.